All right, guys, welcome back. EYL South Beach edition.
MIA.
You can't tell by the backdrop because we was going to do it on the other side, but we're in Miami right now.
Yeah, the rain came a little bit.
Yeah, the rain is out, but it's still better weather than New York.
Yeah, we'll take it any day. We'll take that.
For sure. So, we try to do interviews when we're on the road, and sometimes we have it planned, sometimes it's just impromptu. So this is an impromptu. We met a superstar in the tech world and somebody that we really thought would add value to the podcast. So Kwame Anku, just a brilliant star in the tech world. He was actually, I just found out, he was the co-founder of Black Angel Tech Fund, which was the first tech fund in America that was focused on African-American entrepreneurs. Right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And now he's the CEO of Black Star Fund, which is a tech fund that looks for predominantly ventures where Black people are the starters.
Top 25 Black venture capitalists to watch.
Yeah, for PitchBook, that's
right.
right.
Yeah, man.
And
big time.
Stanford alumni. So we're gonna talk about that because that's interesting within itself.
Thank you.
But and your firm is currently invested in 9 companies, right?
9 companies, that's right, all over the country.
Yeah.
We
humbly met you. We were at an event and we walked over and like, hey guys, I'm a huge fan. I'm like, okay, this is great. And then as we spoke more, I'm like, wait, this guy is a superstar.
No, I appreciate it. But hey, before we jump into it, I want to say, you got fans all over the world. I was just in Ghana. And I just want to say, as a fan myself, I'm so proud of you all, of the work you're doing and the impact that you're having on the consciousness, the business consciousness, the mindset of our people, not only in the United States, but all over the world.
No, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And shout out to Ghana too. We're gonna talk about Africa a little later too, because I know your roots are from Ghana,
Absolutely.
right? You're African American, first generation African American.
Right.
Your family, your parents have roots in their families from Ghana.
That's
right.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
The year of return. We just passed. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just out there for that. Yeah. Happy to talk about that.
Yeah. So I definitely want to talk about Ghana. But so first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, my honor.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into the tech world because we haven't really covered tech that much, and a lot of people have been asking us. So I want to start at Stanford because this is something not to graze over. People don't understand how powerful that school is. I think like 30-something billionaires in the tech world have graduated from Stanford.
Yeah. Some guys you might have heard of.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of I think one particular professor still is a professor at Stanford, and a lot of guys take his class because he's a VC guy too, and he gives money to different. Did Airbnb do that? Somebody did that?
They had ties to Stanford.
But I say that to say a lot of times people don't fully understand how powerful networking is and a network. So coming out of such a prestigious cloth as far as going to Stanford as an African American, I'm assuming you was in a minority. How was that experience, and how has that experience helped you? Now that you're in the VC world yourself? Yeah,
that's a great question. So lots of pieces, lots of parts there. You got to keep in mind that the times are very different. I'm not 60 or 70 years old. I'm 47.
So early 90s.
Yeah, but the times were different. Meaning the first time I saw the internet, I was a senior in college.
Wow.
Right. So when we talk about networking today and the ability to get connected to people through these incredible social networks that we have, and it's easy, that was not our reality. That was not our world at the time. So it's much harder to get connected to people. And I'm fully transparent with you. I did not understand the power and prestige of the Stanford name when I graduated. As a minority student there, there was a lot of turmoil. And so when we graduated, we weren't thinking about, well, how can we start donating back to Stanford? It was expensive. You know what
I mean, a lot of people get lost in that. Like a lot of times schools have boosters, right? Their alumni are their boosters. Like where we come from, it's like once we graduate school, it's like, how can we pay back?
That's
the loans,
that's right.
Not to the school.
That's right. And you don't understand that. Like, and part of the problem, I think, again, it's mindset, right? I'm 22. I don't understand at that point in my life that I'm part of the elite country club.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, even though I was there, even though I have the diploma, I was not a part of the country club.
Right?
I just didn't realize
it. Didn't feel like that.
It didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it, and it didn't feel like it. Now, later in my professional life, I'm maturing. I'm understanding the power of networks. I'm understanding what I call success by association.
Ooh.
I'm starting to understand those principles.
Success by association. Can you explain that? That's interesting. I never heard that before, but I understand what it means. But can you explain that?
I think we've had plenty of arguments about this.
Okay. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you will be successful simply because I'm Rashad's friend. But what it means is that I'm accelerating my ability to get to that place of success. And I'm establishing this intense credibility that I might not have on my own, but because I'm with you. Right? So when I was a kid, my mom, even though she's African and half British, so she had a British accent. So she'd always go, well, you know, Kwame, birds of a feather flock together, right?
Shout out to everybody in London.
You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean, right? But then, you know, you get older, you figure it out.
That was
good. Thank you. The cats that you roll with speak to who you are.
Because I like what you said, because it's like a lot of times how you look and how you word things is extremely important. So peer pressure is something that we hear a lot growing up, and we always look at it from a negative connotation, like, but it's positive peer pressure. We spoke about that on the podcast before. And what you said as far as success by association, all the time growing up, we had guilty by association.
Yeah.
That happens all the time, right? You guilty by association, meaning like the people that you hang out with, you're going to be guilty just by hanging out with them. I never heard anybody say success by association. So it's like we got to change the way that we actually use words, the way we look at things. And it's like if we could be guilty by association, we could be successful by association.
Yeah, we always say that. Right. Language is important.
It's true. And the thing is, a lot of times it's math, right? I guarantee you and your audience already understand principles around, you know, the people you hang with. There's a phrase that we hear all the time on money, right? Your net worth is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Right? Now, most people have heard that and know that. What I'm saying, I'm just adding those two concepts together. Well, wait a second. Like you said, if we always talk about guilt by association, but we also know that your net worth is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, then that means if you're around successful people, you're going to be successful by association.
Got a pretty good chance.
How they think about money, how they think about life, how they live life, the decisions that they make. It becomes a part of your process because you're around them. Right. I'll give you an example. I'm reading a book right now called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And it's this whole, we've already heard about time management and prioritizing. He makes it really simple. He's like, look, you know, every day when you wake up, there's one thing that you need to do that will help you to get to success faster. Focus on that.
That's it.
Focus on that.
One thing at a time.
Yeah. Right. So he said, we got to-do lists. He said, you need to start writing down success lists. What are the successful steps? And sometimes, like in my world, it's as easy as making one phone call. If you call this one person who you know loves you, supports you, and is extremely successful and extremely well connected, but you're doing 5 other things under the pretense, well, I got these other things I got to do, but do this one first. So that at the end of the day, even if you haven't finished your to-do list, the fact that you made that one call and got an appointment to go see that person is going to start to open up opportunities. Right? So that's what I live by.
You said that you were part of the country club, but you didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because this is Cali in the early '90s. How did you fight that barrier?
How did I start to feel like I was part of the country club, or what?
Well, both. So like not feeling like it and being it, and then actually becoming aware of it, and like how did that transpire?
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's funny, man. It feels like ancient history, but like when we saw all the barrage of those painful videos of police brutality, right? A couple of years ago. Ferguson and the brother in Louisiana. And it was just like this day after day after day. When I was in school is the first time we had a global viral video of police brutality. It was Rodney King.
Yeah, I'll never forget. It actually happened on my birthday in like '91.
That's right.
I was like, that crazy. I'll never forget it. And that's what I'm thinking at that time. This is the climate of California at the time.
That's exactly right. Right. So for us, it was this feeling of like, wait a second, this is stuff that was supposed to be happening in the 60s and the 70s. I personally had experienced these issues with the police being profiled, being I had guns put to my head when I was in LA. When I was in high school, I had gotten attacked by the police. They thought I'd stolen stuff. So it really hit home. And basically the feeling was, if we're here at this most elite school where we have all this power, but we could be anywhere and be treated like a Rodney King, something's got to change, right? But we weren't connected to other campuses because, again, we didn't have the technology. So that was a lot of the thing of feeling like, is this really for us? Do they let a couple of us in? Are we really a part of the thing?
So at what point do you get into tech then? Because I know, so obviously tech wasn't your main focus going into college, since it was just starting out, the internet, things of that nature. So at what point do you decide I want to have a venture capital fund and invest money into tech entrepreneurs?
It's funny. A friend of mine always says that the dots don't connect when you look in front of you. So when I look back, I actually got into tech when I was 10 years old. I literally started to learn how to code when I was 10. I went to a computer coding camp when I was in 5th grade.
This is like green screen.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I was fascinated. Star Wars, I was fascinated by technology. And I was fascinated by production and just, green screen and the whole creating of production through technology. So it was actually in me when I was a younger person. And I, believe it or not, the editing software, popular editing software used today, Adobe Premiere, right? When I was in school, I was part of the beta testing team of Adobe Premiere 1.0.
High school?
Of college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the idea that, we can edit video using computers, right? When I went into college, that didn't exist. By the end, I was testing that stuff. So technology had always been interesting to me. I was working with Prince is how I actually got into the tech world in a serious business way. And he was obviously an extraordinary artist. But as a businessman, he used to say, if you don't own your masters own you. Mm-hmm. And when we see so many artists today, like Jay-Z and all these incredible artists who own their own stuff, they'll all say it was because they would talk to Prince. Yeah. And he was an evangelist for that, for these younger artists. So he was into tech. He was into ownership. My father grew up in a village in Africa, in Ghana. No running water, no electricity. And came to the States, got scholarships, became a physician, and started buying land back home in Ghana in the 90s. I know you guys do a lot of stuff on real estate. So you can imagine I'm thinking buying land in Ghana in the 90s, what's going on now in 2020. So my point is, as a child, when I would see my dad at work, it had his name, Vincent Anku, MD Inc., on the door. Never heard my dad talk about a boss. He was the boss. My mother was the office manager and the business operations person. So at dinner, they were talking business.
At all times.
When I was 10, I learned how to balance the corporate checkbook on the computer and got paid. So I was on my parents' business payroll doing their...
At 10?
At 10 years old.
At this point, are they familiar with computers the way you know it? Because a lot of times kids know more about technology than parents.
I'm so grateful they didn't know anything about computers except how important it was. Yeah. And they bought me my first computer when I was 9.
How Prince, people talk about Prince a lot, like you said, as far as being one of the greatest musicians of all time, but I'm a huge Nas fan. And I remember Nas was on another podcast, Drink Champs, and he was talking about when he first met Prince and years ago, like in 99, and he asked Prince to do a record with him. And Prince told him, he was like, do you own your masters? And Nas said, no, I don't own my masters. And he was like, when you own your masters, we can have a conversation. Wow. And he was like, that really inspired him. Yeah. So it's like being around Prince. How was he as far as the business acumen, the business side of things?
Extraordinary, man. I remember I had a conversation with him one time in his office, just the two of us. He said, look, let me tell you something. He said, I usually end the show playing Purple Rain. He said, within an hour, I don't care if I'm playing in front of 200 people or if I got sold out at a stadium. I know how many T-shirts were sold. I know how much merchandise was sold. I know how many Coca-Colas were bought.
Yeah, we spoke about that when we were talking. I think it's like our very first episode, right? When we talked about how innovative he was when he was packaging tickets, merchandise, all these things at the vendings. All package it all together as one thing, and how now that's the standard. 20 years later, like people are just realizing like what he set forth.
Exactly. I mean, you think about subscriptions now, Netflix and everything else. He created the new Power Generation Music Club in the late 90s, where you'd pay $9 a month or whatever it was, and then you get music and you get merch and everything else. He created that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so before streaming, before it was Apple Music,
before any of that. So my point in terms of the tech stuff is that as a child, when you're raised with a parent who not only had a business, but more importantly came from nothing, and created that, and then I got to work in it on the business side, and then as an adult, I'm working with Prince, who's so adamant about ownership. So we were working with an organization that he and Van Jones founded called Yes We Code, teaching African-American kids in the hood how to code and become technology people. I'm now working with Facebook. I'm working with Google. I'm working with the Obama White House, Office of Science and Technology. And then we start to put 2 and 2 together. We said, well, wait a second. We went to school with the people who created Google, Yahoo, PayPal, LinkedIn, Palantir, YouTube. We went to school with all these guys. They understand.
Like that. Let's not breeze over there. That's crazy.
Right. Literally, look.
Yeah.
There's a cat that's in my class, 1994, who's a co-founder of WhatsApp.
Now owned by Facebook.
Which was sold for $19 billion.
Yeah.
Right? Jerry Yang, who created Yahoo, was 2 years ahead of me in college.
In Stanford?
Yeah.
30-year reunions, yeah. Oh. Let's see if we can get an invite to that.
Stanford.
Y'all are honorary brothers.
Yeah, sure. Stanford alumni is crazy. So,
yeah.
All right. So you build your relationships working with Prince and Van Jones, and you're on the tech side. So at what point do you just say, okay, I want to start my own venture capital firm with other people? I think this is a good idea to do that.
Yeah. So basically, we were having a Black alumni reunion, and it was a summit. It was in 2015, and we were in Atlanta, and I was on a panel. The numbers had come out around how in Silicon Valley, less than 1% of the tech employees at these massive big tech companies is African American. The less than 1% of venture capital going to African Americans. So I was on a panel and there was a conversation about that. And you got some of the most successful Black people in the country all sitting in that room. So there's a lot of anger, but then that turned to, well, what do we do? So we need to put pressure on Google. We need to get them to hire more Black people. I was like, hey, wait a second. If we went to school with the people who created all this stuff, they had 2 very simple things. They had an idea and they had a little bit of angel investment money. $200, $300, $500,000. And then they were up and running. We need to be focusing on doing that for our Black tech entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I didn't even say, hey, we need a fund. I just kind of put that out there. And literally a group of us got together. And by the next day, it was like the light bulbs were going off. And we said, hey, why don't we pool money together and create a fund so that we can start to do these investments in these tech entrepreneurs. So that's how it started. That's literally how it started. It's Atlanta in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about angel investing with John Henry a few months ago, and he was talking about how his started.
Yeah.
Now,
and he's a phenomenal young man.
How many people are with you when you start?
Yeah, so when we initially started with Black Angel Tech Fund, it was 5 of us, and we literally, we raised a couple $1 million. We did 5 deals. In my fund now, Black Star Fund, I'm still in 3 of those deals.
Okay.
Right. So there's a longevity there in terms of relationships with those founders. But yeah, it's really, and it wasn't people who had investing experience. That's one thing I love about your show, is that this is not for people who already know all this stuff. It's for people who want to understand how it works.
Right.
If you look at someone like Arlen Hamilton does not come out of institutional investing. She doesn't have an economics
Who's
degree.
that?
Arlen Hamilton, the founder of Backstage Capital.
Okay.
So she, African-American woman, she has invested in over 100 companies of diverse founders and women. She raised $4 million 4 or 5 years ago. She was living out of her car.
Wow.
She was in the music industry and promotions. And she got to Silicon Valley. And again, it's math. She's looking around going, there's billions of dollars here. Where are the Black people? There's a disconnect. We should do something about that.
Right.
And she got people to believe in her and her vision. Well, what if we were getting this money, same thing that we did with Black Angel Tech Fund, into the folks. I love what she says. We talk about underrepresented minorities. She calls us underestimated. Right? It's not underrepresented. Right? It's underestimated. So my point is that people like Arlen Hamilton, she doesn't come out of investing. Black Angel Tech Fund, none of the founders came out of investing. But we wanted to respond to a need and an opportunity. Yeah. It wasn't simply that the numbers were skewed so that Black people were not getting the cash. But it's like, wait a second, from a business standpoint, that's an incredible opportunity. If Silicon Valley is not paying attention to our genius, and we can get in early, we can support our genius, and we can profit from our genius being successful.
I think you gave a great analogy. You said you're like an A&R. like in music, just in tech, right? You go out, you look for the talent, you say, that's it. Like, that's something that we're good at, right? We know good music when we hear it, and you know good ideas when you see them, right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's like, so when people say, Kwame, what's your secret as an investor? I say, I'm like an old school A&R person in the music industry. And for the young heads, that means artists and repertoire. That's when the cats who would go to the club, they go to the church, they go to the
street corner.
Yeah. And they would hear the sound. Now, could a lot of us sing really well? Absolutely. Could a lot of us play? Absolutely. But there's something called what? The it factor. So when you think about back in the day with Motown, you got Diana Ross, Smokey Robinson, the Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder.
Temptations.
Right? Okay. They were all phenomenal singers. But they all had the it factor. There's something special about certain people that you just know that they were born to be leaders.
No, I say that all the time, is that we live in a world now, like I have a son, and everybody gets awards if you participate, and everybody's like, it's made to feel everybody's equal.
You're singing my song now.
Everybody's not equal. There's some people that's made to excel others, and that's okay. Because some people, like LeBron James, might not be the best piano player, right?
That's
but
right.
As far as basketball, he was built to excel. He still had to put the work in, but you could have worked just as hard as LeBron. You're not going to be LeBron.
No way.
And it's the same thing with business people. It's like even on the podcast, like we've had people on the podcast before and be like, he's special or she's special. Just has an it factor, right? And it's like you can't really put your finger on it.
You know it,
but you know it. The people know it. They resonate toward, and they just have it.
And the person sitting here knows it too. Like when they walk in and we talk, as soon as like we have conversation after they leave, it's like he's special. She's special. You can feel it.
That's the thing. So then now let's look at it in the context of, well, wait a second. If what we're all saying is true, how is it that you have less than 1% of the venture capital going to African Americans, right? That's why I was saying that there's the opportunity. One of the greatest things I ever learned from one of my mentors, he said, a small mind focuses on the problem. Big mind focuses on the solution. A genius mind sees the opportunity that lies in the problem, right? So that's how I function. So wait, less than 1%. We know our genius. We know our talent when we see it.
Yep.
So you're telling me, I'll give you an example, Mary Spio, who's actually in town. She's got a virtual reality company, and she's doing virtual reality content for the halftime show at the Super Bowl. Okay. So she has a company called Seek VR.
Yep.
Okay. So let me just give you the background. Here's an African woman, born in New York, raised in Ghana, dual degree, master's degree from Georgia Tech in electrical engineering and computer science.
Big time.
7-year veteran in the United States Air Force, head of satellite communications. Oh, and by the way, she invented the digital cinema system for Boeing, which bounces the movie signal off the satellite to the movie theater.
Big time.
Okay. So you meet this woman who's got a VR company, and you find out that she got a deal with Universal Music, and she beat out Oculus to get that deal. Okay. Does that sound? You see what I mean? You see what I mean? That's Diana Ross in the tech world.
Exactly.
That's Oprah
exactly.
in the tech world.
Yes.
Right? That's who you invest in, not just the money, the time, the relationships, the business coaching. So we've got that level of talent. And my belief, whether it's John Henry and Harlem Capital, Plexo Capital, Precursor, Arlen with Backstage Capital, Black Star Fund, that we are all going to be turning the industry on its head in the next 3 to 5 years, because we knew where the talent was that nobody else was paying attention to. And we invested early. And when as those companies grow and have significant exits, everybody's going to come and look at us as geniuses. Look, we weren't geniuses. We paid attention to the people you were not paying attention to. We invested in the people you were overlooking.
The same dudes you gave nothing. I made something doing what I do.
There you go.
That's it. That's
there
it.
you have it. So, all right. In the next segment, we're gonna go through the process as far as I know you said it's a 3-part process, and like your day to day, and then some mindset opportunities that you coach people on as well. So yeah, we're gonna go into that next. All right. So you told us off camera that there's really 3 phases of your VC as far as what you do.
Yeah.
With Black Star Fund is you raise money, you find founders, you raise money, you find founders, and you help them be successful. So the interesting thing for me is that you raise money before you find the founders. So the founders are the people that you're giving money to or you're investing money with.
Yeah.
But you're raising money before you actually have the people in play. And then you're not only just giving them money, but you're coaching them. Because I always look at it like it's like talent, right? We can't. I like to talk in sports and entertainment metaphors a lot because we understand that. We as a culture, but world culture, we understand that, right?
That's right.
So it's like me, I used to play sports. So you see, it's called a diamond in the rough. Like you see somebody like they might be a phenomenal player, basketball player, but they're not polished.
That's right.
They need work. They need a coach. They need a trainer. They need somebody, but they already have potential. They have raw potential, but they're going to get demolished if they just go to the league. They have to, they got to practice, right? They got to refine. Same thing with business. Somebody could be the most talented entrepreneur and be the most eloquent speaker and powerful networker and just have a presence, but that still might not make them ready for the big leagues.
That's right. As you're saying that, the first thing that came to our minds as we talking entertainment was when Puff found Big. It was like this gritty dude off the corner becomes this guy who now wears Versace. He's an icon because of it. He found the dirt, he shined it up, and now he's an icon forever.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. But there's a bunch of people that just, everybody needs some level of coaching. Whether it's like Nas said, Large Professor told him not to pop his peas in the poof. Like, you don't think about that, but it's like little stuff like that. It's like you actually have talent, but you still need to be refined. So can you talk about that as far as the process, your process, being the CEO of a VC fund and actually working with the entrepreneurs, not just like 100 miles away, just do your own thing.
Here's the money. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let me say this first of all. There's a debate actually within our investment community where people, even within African-American investors, around spending a lot of time with the entrepreneurs. And some people's philosophy is, look, if we decided to make a deal with you, we're giving you the capital and you figure it out. We'll make some phone calls for you, but we're not here to hold your hand through the process. The way that VC normally works, the philosophy is you invest in 10 companies, 7 of them will fail, 2 of them will do okay, and 1 of them will be a unicorn and make everybody all the money. So what they do is they wait to see who pulls ahead. And then the bottom 7, they kind of abandon most of the time. Could we afford to do that with African-American tech founders?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
See, what are we talking about here?
Nah.
Right? That just makes no sense.
Nah.
So
1%.
Yeah, we can't do that.
10% if you talk about 10 companies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you talk about, we're looking for the creme de la creme de la creme, the top of the top of the top. And so a lot of times, even how we got connected, you guys had one of our companies on EYL, right? The Win-Win Company.
Shout out to Win-Win,
right?
Mike Brown.
H-Town's on.
Okay. Phenomenal guy, true. Talented tech developer, true. He was a 2-time All-American at Duke with a full ride and made it to the NFL. The work ethic of an individual like that, you put that person in tech and business, you're dealing with a force you can't even imagine. You see what I mean? But everybody has, Rashad, to your point, everybody has areas that they need help with. Some of it might be to be polished and refined in business. But what I find, and I think the most value that I bring, and this is something I think that could help all of your listeners, is that I say the wider and deeper your relationships are, the easier your life is. And it translates to business. The wider and deeper your relationships are, the easier your business is. So when I invest in a company and I can leverage my relationships to help them grow, it makes a huge difference. I'll give you an example. We invest in a company. One of my investors made one phone call. That company was able to get their product into the top grocery store in Northern California.
Just from the resources that you have.
Okay. You see what I mean? It wasn't heavy lifting, but because I had that relationship and I could leverage that relationship for my founder that I invested in, she was able to have a breakthrough in the California market. You see what I mean? So it's not just the coaching, like we're helping you with mindset, and we'll get into some of that hopefully too. But it's how can I act as almost your VP of business development? How can I get you in rooms and how can I connect you with people to help you to grow your business? And then sometimes, we do what I call CEO coaching. It's the behind closed doors, tough conversations where we got to look in the mirror. We got to do an assessment. Where are your blocks? How are you getting in your own way? What story are you telling yourself that's not serving you or your company? You see what I mean?
So what is some CEO coaching that you do, or that, because like I said, a lot of times you start a business, there's no roadmap to be successful. And coaching is extremely important, right? Like even LeBron reportedly spends $1 million on his body, where he has like massage therapists and trainers and things of that nature. And it's like, business, this is important too, business podcast, is that top level business people spend money on coaches.
That's right.
Because they want to improve, whether it's a variety of different things that they can improve on, become more efficient, things of that nature. So as far as like CEO coaching, what does that look like from your standpoint?
That's a great question. So there's not a cookie cutter formula. It's like you got to assess the person in front of you. Where are their strengths? Where are their weaknesses? And you hear me use this word, where are their blocks? And a block is a mental idea that you have in your head that's preventing you from moving forward. And oftentimes it's subconscious. So how do you find out where those blocks are? It's based on output. I'm looking at what the entrepreneur is doing, and I'm looking at the output. And in certain areas, I'm not seeing good results. Mm-hmm. And then I'm asking them, well, what is it that you want? And they go, Kwame, I want this. That's okay. Well, I'm looking at 6 months of activity. I'm not seeing a lot of the thing that you say that you want. So we have to go into why is that? Now, some of it is because they haven't designed a plan to be able to get there well. Yeah. But a lot of times there's a block. And it's almost like, it's almost like being a psychologist, where you got to go in and start to figure out what is preventing you from doing what you need to do. And then, I'm 47, so I've seen a lot. I've had some great successes. I've had some painful failures.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going, because I'm thinking like this sounds very well organized, very well planned. And in order to coach, sometimes you had to have made some mistakes that that play doesn't work.
That's the thing.
So what are some of the mistakes that you've made along the way?
So I'll give you an example. I see this a lot, actually. When you're building a team as a leader, there's a mistake that people make where they build a team based on people who look up to them and who want to follow them. Mm-hmm. And part of it is an ego thing, right? So I'm the CEO and the founder. You working for me. Maybe you haven't had this level of success that I've had, and you just want to be down. I'm bringing you on. Mm-hmm. Same thing. So what these guys do, a lot of times they'll build a team of people who are kind of not at their level and look up to them and kind of idolize them. Huge mistake. I made that mistake. When you're in business, you want to build a team, and I tell people this all the time. When you look around the table, your management team, you should be in awe of the people in your team. You should literally be in awe of them.
Like, how did I get
this guy on the team? How is it possible that you're sitting at the table actually building this company? See, that's a mindset shift. Yeah. Again, sometimes it's ego. Sometimes people don't know better. The problem with the first way is that team is always looking for you to make all the decisions. And they're not really solving problems, okay? Mm-hmm. So you need people who are better than you to do the things that you need to do to build your business. Steve Jobs was a genius at that. And you probably have seen that meme. He said, we hire people who are smarter than us to tell us what to do, right? Not the other way around. Right. So that's a problem that I see. If you want to get into nitty gritty in terms of cash flow management, one of the things I think our folks have a challenge with is that when money comes in, they'll operate the business kind of how they've operated on their life, okay? Without having a budget, without having strict controls of that money. And so what I do with entrepreneurs is, look, we have to have the budget set. We've got X amount. I go over that with them. On some of the companies, I'm on the board, so it's a little easier because I can do board approvals of the budget. Mm-hmm. But we make sure that the cash is accounted for every week. If something comes up and we need to make a shift, we need to have a board decision to make a shift in the expenditures. But we've got spreadsheets to see where everything is. I see so many companies that have raised $500,000, $1 million. 10 months later, money's gone. And the company is gone. Was it because their burn rate was so high? No, because they didn't have good financial systems in place. Or they were saying, well, we don't need a CFO. We can't afford a CFO. Well, you don't need to hire a CFO. You need to have a fractional CFO. Somebody that you can hire 10 hours a month that will help to make sure all the financial things are in place.
A fractional CFO?
Yeah, so this is a new thing. This will be helpful for your listeners.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, we call it fractional C-suite. So we're starting off. We can't hire necessarily a chief marketing officer, a CMO, a chief financial officer, a CFO. We don't have to. There's now people who have positioned themselves to be fractional C-level managers. I'll give you 10 hours a month to be your chief marketing officer, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're just getting started. Yeah. And so that's a great business for people to be in, because they can work for 5, 6, 7 companies and get paid from those companies doing fractional work.
Yeah, in a week.
It's great, right? And it's great for the company, because you're getting high level professional services, but you're not paying out the nose to be able to get that.
Yeah, it's like a consultant or MVP, most valuable product, what we say a lot on the podcast. It's like you have to work with the resources that's available to you. Mm-hmm. So you might not have $150,000 to pay somebody full time, but you might have 20,000 that you can break. And like you said, it's kind of a win-win because it's like you're still getting some level of help, and that person might get 20,000 from 10 different people. Now that's 200,000.
That's right.
As opposed to just the 150 that they were going to get, but they got to focus all of their time just on one company.
That's right. Absolutely. And there's one other thing I want to say quickly about some of the coaching. It's lifestyle. One of our companies we've invested in, a great friend of mine, Dawn Dixon, and she has a company called Popcom, and it's an incredible, AI interactive vending machine software system that she's created. And, she always talks about, especially to younger entrepreneurs in the early 20s, this idea that you're grinding, 90, 100 hours a week, and that somehow we romanticize that that's how you're supposed to be successful. That is a way to have an imbalanced life, and that is a way to burn out. And so I really work with my founders in terms of their life balance. Me personally, I don't work on Sundays. I will not work on Sundays. I only started doing that in 2019. You see what I mean? So I don't want to see my founders, like as an investor, I don't want to hear, oh yeah, Kwame, man, we grinded out, man. We put in a 100-hour week. I had 3 nights with no sleep. I don't want to hear that. I want to know, like Mike Brown, I'll just throw his stuff out. I'll call Mike and say, hey, can we do a meeting? He's like, I'm taking my son to Taekwondo. I don't say, well, can you step outside? Right? Because I've taken my son when he was 5 to Taekwondo. Right? And it's so important that as a founder, as an investor with a founder, I'm expecting you to work hard. I'm not expecting you to burn yourself out. I'm not expecting you to have your life out of balance, because I care about you as a human being, first and foremost. But second, it's painfully inefficient.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. I need you to be here for the long haul, and I need you to bring to the best of your abilities, the best of you.
And then also, to play devil's advocate, I think there's different systems for different people. Because like we talk about sports, there's the Belichick way, right? Patriots way, but it's really Belichick's way. And he's a much different coach than Phil Jackson. He's a much different coach than Andy Reid, right? Where Belichick is no alternative. He's trying to get rid of Tom Brady. He don't care. This is my way. And people say they hate playing for the Patriots. Everybody that played for the Patriots, that's not on the Patriots anymore, said they hated it. But they win. They win, right? It's like sometimes the win, and it's hard for people to fully understand that too, because it's like it's kind of dicey. I think businesses like sports, where it's like sometimes you go that extra mile, and everybody's not balanced.
So let me expound on that, because believe it or not, I agree with you 100%, and I'm glad you said that, because I need to qualify what I said, because it goes to your point about it's not sustainable. I want to see it be in seasons. Okay. There's a season to go into overdrive, and then there's a season to pull back. Even the Bible says there's time and place for everything. So what I'm not saying as a startup founder, you should comfortably just do 40 hours a week, clock out at 5 o'clock on Friday. Don't think about work all weekend.
I've got yoga tonight.
No. Right? But this idea that like I'm not a good founder of a startup if I'm not working 90 hours a week, never take a break, always grinding, always reading. That mindset. See, that's different than the athlete that is waking up at 4 a.m. every day. It's even that athlete still takes their family on vacation. You see what I mean? Even that athlete reads books instead of playing, right? So there's grind season, there's recovery season. We're going to pull out all the stops, and then we're going to reflect. Steve Jobs, one of the most innovative entrepreneurs on the planet Earth. Bill Gates, to my understanding, I just saw a documentary on him. He still does it. They read for over an hour a day. Now, how in the world could you be Bill Gates with net worth of $30+ billion, with all the global responsibilities he has, and he reads an hour a day? Steve Jobs would walk for an hour a day, not take phone calls. Now, you ask Steve Jobs, rest his soul, why do you do that? He said, because that's where I can think, and that's where I come up with ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You have to allocate this time.
Absolutely.
Or you definitely will burn out. Now, like Shai's coming from the business world, education world, I see it all the time. Like I have teachers that are 30 and 40, and they're like, I can't do this anymore. Well, I'm like, well, what are you going to do? I don't know. I'm like, well, then you're going to be doing this, right? Like, it's like most teachers think that they're going to work till the retirement age, 55, 57 for some. And they're like, all right, it's great. But I'm like, you're 30 now. You're 27 years away. What are you going to do if you burnt out now? And it's like they haven't allocated the time or the resources to look at anything else.
That's so powerful. Yeah.
So as far as raising money, right? What's the process as far as that is concerned for you personally, like you guys now? Do you tap into your network that you've built up over the years? Is it an alumni association? It's just random people that you come in contact with? Do you have email marketing? Like, how do you?
Yeah, are we calling it Stanford alum?
How do you, how do you raise money for these businesses that you're giving money to?
Yeah, so there's two sides of it. Let's talk about on the fund side, and then also talk about how I help some of the companies to raise money themselves. Right. On the fund side, it goes back to what I said: the wider and deeper the relationships you have are, the easier your life is, the easier your business is. And remember I said success by association. So let's say I've got a good relationship with somebody's business guy, knows me, trusts me, likes me, admires my work. I talk to him, he says, Kwame, I'm in, I want to invest. I don't just say, hey, thank you so much for that, I really appreciate it, and then try to find other people. Then we sit down. Who else in your network do you think would be interested in this? Right? So now when we go and meet with that person, these are people he's done deals with. These are people she's done deals with. So they know them, they like them, they trust them. And a lot of times they've made money together. So now it's not just, well, hey, here's this guy you don't know. Do you want to do this? It's, hey man, I just got on this deal. You got to see this. You got to meet this guy. I'm in. And I want to bring you in with me. So much of the deal is done
Referrals
before the meeting, simply because, again, success by association. So that's really my strategy on the fundraise. And the cool thing about that, too, is that you meet extraordinary people doing amazing things. Like, I'm in town to help my two companies. Those events were Thursday and tomorrow. I planned my trip to leave on Tuesday. Why? Because I knew I was going to be meeting people. And I got some business partners down here that I said, I'm coming for a week. I said, Kwame, we'll get you some meetings so we can help you to raise some money down here. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And you never know what can happen.
Exactly.
Like that's what I was just saying earlier. Like somebody was asking me, like, you left, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving Miami until I'm supposed to leave because I know it's in New York. I'm in New York all year. I might just randomly walk outside and meet a random person that could change my life. Like, you know what I mean? And I think people don't fully understand that either. It's like, it's important to travel. And it's important. And like, we just met you 2 days ago.
Right.
Who knows where this relationship can go? But a lot of times we just so confined. The average person only leaves for like 2 weeks a year. And their day-to-day is exactly the same.
Because that's what they...
And that's why I said, like, even you should take a different route to work. Because it's like, you kind of just get programmed to wake up, walk your dog, take your kid to school, pick your kid up from school. And then like, you're only interacting with 10 people every day.
That's right.
For your whole entire year.
Yeah.
How are you going to change your life? Of course your life is going to be the same. You're only talking to 10 people.
That's right.
That's the allocation part. It was like most people who work in corporate worlds, they'll tell you, you got 2 weeks of vacation for the year. So choose it wisely. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's tough because it's like, we're trying to figure out this is how much time we have. And, I got to put it with my friends and my family because this is the only time I have. It's like, if you get sick, good luck. You know what I mean?
It's true. But I think that this goes back to the shift in mindset, right? If we're working a JOB and we only have 2 weeks allocated for vacation, that's kind of what the rules are.
Right.
But the reality is we also got 52 weekends, right? And if you make a decision every other month, I'm going somewhere, does that mean that you got to spend $2,000 to go out of the country or go to Mexico? Not necessarily. But if you live in New York, you got a friend in DC. You take that train down to DC and you stay with them. And it's exactly what you're saying. You're at a different party. You're at someone else's house for dinner. And it's a natural thing. So what is it that you do?
All right.
And then you're having a conversation. Where'd you go to school? And then once you start making those common links, hey, do you know so-and-so? No, man, I got to introduce you to a friend of mine, right? We got to be in that mindset totally. How do you put yourself in places and spaces where you're meeting new people, having new conversations, and then having new realities for your life?
You know what's crazy too is like, we're so programmed and it's like, people start looking at you crazy. Like when you start traveling a lot, you start doing things, they start looking at you crazy. Like, why are you traveling so much?
Yeah.
Why are you not traveling enough?
Slow down a little bit.
Why not?
Right.
Like they're literally people, and then it's like,
even for you guys?
Yeah. Like,
not for me, but it's like even
I
like
get it for sure.
Relationships or people like, you never know. It's like, why are you traveling again? Oh, you're traveling again? Or and people, it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Travel all year if I can. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I'll get
why
to like, hey, you got to slow down. You need to slow down, man. You're moving around too much. And I'm like, nah, man, we're trying to change the world here. Like what I'm doing in education, like I don't go to work tomorrow in school. Somebody eventually will be the new teacher there. But like nobody's doing what we're doing. So I gotta allocate time for this because this is super important. You know what I mean?
It's so true, man. But that goes back to what we talked about, success by association, right? Is that there's a painful reality. And I learned this. I'll be honest with you, man. I remember being in Baltimore. I was a tough time in my life, and I was in a motel, and I had a audio recording of one of Tony Robbins's programs, and he said, write down how you would describe success in business, in health, in relationships, and basically do 1 to 5 of where you are. And then you do the average of that. I was like at 1.2.
Of everything.
Of everything.
Wow.
Right? And one of the things that he was talking about, and this isn't just, we say, like we said earlier, that your net worth is the average of the 5 people that you spend most time with. But the deeper level of that concept is your net consciousness is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Okay? So what that means is, one of my favorite rappers is Chuck D.
Public Enemy.
Right, from Public Enemy. And Chuck D said, if I can't change the people around me, I change the people around me. Okay? If I'm in a situation where I can't change the people around me, I change the people around me. And when you hear things, no diss on any of your friends and people that love you, but when you hear things like, you need to slow down, you're traveling too much, and you're not hearing the chorus that's telling you, man, I'm so proud of you, man.
There you go.
Do it, man. Every time I see a picture of you somewhere else, I get excited for you. What's the next thing you're doing? You're doing great now, but what's the next level you're trying to go to? If you don't have that chorus around you, it's time to shift the team. It's time to shift the team. I learned this early in my career, man. Remember one of my mentors said, Kwame, the team that gets you from A to B is not the same team that's going to get you from B to C or C to D or D to E. And you, as a leader, you have to be prepared. Doesn't mean there's not some people going to go all the way with you. But for the most part, the whole team's not coming.
Everybody not gonna make it. Right? That's a fact. Everybody not gonna make it.
Right? It's just not gonna happen.
Yep.
And it's okay.
That's a fact.
Right?
No, we only laughing because we say that all the time. Everybody's not gonna make it.
Right.
You just explained it so clearly, man. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I see. I hit a nerve.
That's a mantra that we kind of live by.
Can I get some of the royalties on the t-shirts? Everybody ain't coming.
A to B only. A to B only. That's gonna be the shirt. A to B only.
A to B only.
Bus stopped here.
Right. You getting off.
No transfers.
You getting off at Terminal D.
No transfers. You're getting off here.
So from your perspective, as far as mindset, is mindset more important than the information that people receive, or does it go hand in hand to make the information useful for people?
Yeah, it's hard to quantify, but just to make the point, I mean, in my life experience, I always say in life, love, and business, I would say 90% is mindset and 10% is the info. Because if you don't have the right mindset, then you don't know how to digest the info. And when we were kids, remember our parents used to say, man, it's in one ear. I tell you the same thing over and over, and it's in one ear and out the other. Okay. You're getting the info. You're not retaining it. You're not digesting it. You're not processing it. And most importantly, you're not using it for the transformation. So the mindset, great Wayne Dyer said, when you change the way you see things, the things that you see change. That had a profound impact on my life. So when you change the way you see things, the things that you see change. That is mindset. If I can think about this in a different way, then I can have a different result. There's another reason why you got to have different people around you. Because if you fall in the trap of, say, commiserating, oh man, things are really tough right now, and you get a bunch of people that are supporting that song, you go deeper down that hole. You can have some people who say, man, stop complaining. Okay, is that really helpful? What you really need is people who say, let me help you to see this thing differently. What you think is a problem could be an incredible opportunity. And because your mindset changes, then you look at the thing differently, you deal with the thing differently, and then you get different results.
Yeah, I remember to end it on that note, years ago, I was working at this company, and this guy, he was like one of the top people, big time producer, and he was in the bathroom, and another person came in the bathroom and started complaining about like the manager, and was saying like, yeah, you know, I don't really like it. He's like, nope, stop. I can't process any negative information. Can't process it. He stopped him like after two. It's like, nope, not doing that. No, it's not going to be beneficial, and it's only going to be negative, and it's going to lower my frequency, and I can't do it. And when it was so profound, because he didn't give an apology, and for him to be at that level, it just let me know, like, you know, everything that you put in your brain is important, and it's a lot of times we put so much negativity in our brain without even fully understanding what we're doing, and then we're wondering why we're not getting positive results.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think I did a social media post recently, and I was saying, you know, in order to kind of have a new reality, you have to have a new song in your head, right? What's the story you're telling yourself? What's the song that you're singing? I mean, I've literally lost friendships and relationships saying similar things where I was hearing a lot of gossip. I can't hear that right now.
Nope.
As a matter of fact, I can't ever hear it.
Nah, that's powerful. So, all right, in the last segment, we're going to close it out. We're going to go to Mother Africa.
Going home.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
we go.
Year of the return.
The year of the return, for sure. All right, so in the last segment, we're going to close it out, and we're going to go international. And this is something that I really like enjoying having these conversations, because I always said, like, the vision of we can never limit ourselves.
Amen.
Can never limit ourselves as far as, like, geographically or culturally or anything. Like, the world is our oyster. I think it's important for people to understand that, and that's something that we really pride ourselves on as far as Earn Your Leisure. Is not just in America.
Yeah.
We're blessed to be in some of the top charts all over the world.
Absolutely.
And one continent specifically that we have reached the top charts in a lot of countries is Africa. So shout out to everybody in Africa.
All countries.
All countries in Africa. We definitely have to come to Africa soon.
Amen. I'd love to be your host.
Yeah, looking forward to that. A lot of people have been hitting us up, asking to come to Africa. And as I said, you're African American. You have roots in Ghana. That's where your family is from.
That's right.
And I know you go back there pretty regularly, right?
I do. Yeah, I'm there usually 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, it was a big event this December. It was the year of return in Africa.
Yeah.
In Ghana specifically. Mm-hmm. And you were holding a tech summit. You were speaking there, right?
I was, yeah. I'm the U.S. ambassador for the Ghana Tech Summit. The co-founders, Einstein and Christina and Tim, have created this incredible vision of tech summits all over the continent. And this was the 2nd annual Ghana Tech Summit that happened just last month.
So can we talk about that as far as what's going on in Africa right now? And I think it's important to have these conversations because it's like for us being African American and then from the continent, people that's of African descent on the continent, it's only a body of water that separates us. But a lot of times it seems like it's much further, but it's really not. We're not that separated. So it's important. I want to bridge this gap for people in America and for people in Africa. What's going on in Ghana specifically as far as the tech boom that's happening there and the entrepreneur, and what did you see when you go out there and being out there giving a TED talk and things of that nature?
Sure. So I'm so excited to have a chance to share and really make an open invitation. But piggybacking off of Troy, what you said is that 2019 was the year of return, and it was the president of Ghana who said, "Look, it's the 400-year mark of the first Africans who were brought to the United States or to North America as slaves. And so we're going to put our flag in the ground and say, hey, we're marking this and we want you to come home." That's what he said. Mm-hmm. Come make cultural connection. Come learn how to invest. Come to reconnect with the motherland. Post that, now that we're going in 2020, it's now called the year of the birthright. And we're taking it even further and saying the decade of the birthright. That means that you, as descendants of Mother Africa, your birthright is there waiting for you. Mm-hmm. So you got to come back and connect with it and build. What's happening in Ghana? First of all, it's the fastest growing economy on the continent of Africa. Okay, so on any given year, it's doing 6 to 8% growth. Billions of dollars are coming from all over the world, building infrastructure, building gorgeous buildings and hotels. Our family businesses building affordable housing units in neighborhoods. There's so much in any sector. It could be gold, it could be technology, it could be textiles, it could be 5G, anything. It's all at the early stages for people to get in and to build. And it's a beautiful country. And now, granted, I'm biased because my family is from there.
Yeah.
But what I found is a year of return, because we had thousands of African Americans coming, that their minds were blown. But more importantly, what I knew was going to happen, and I watched it happen, there's a feeling when you get your feet back on that soil that you didn't know that you had the capacity to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just thinking visually, like every time, especially when we were growing up, there was just one image of what people thought Africa was, right? It was like donate $1 to a child, right? Or it was like you were in a safari. And like when we saw the images coming back, especially like on social media, and I think that's the beauty of it, it was just like, wait, why are we not there? You know what I mean? And I'm sure that when people got there, like you saw that firsthand, right?
I did, but it was literal, man. I mean, there was people, I had so many friends that literally canceled their return flights to stay another week or indefinitely.
It's major.
I watched people who have full-time jobs writing emails and proposals to their bosses with ideas of how they could be working in Africa for 3 months out of the year. I watched it happen. So in the feeling, I was there with my buddy too, Shaka Senghor, incredible author, New York Times bestseller, one-man show all over the world, amazing friend of mine. And we did a film with him. So he came back for the first time, and we shot a docu-film of him being over there. And he said something really deep. He said, he said, the feeling I thought I was going to have when I got back is that I'm home. And he said, to be honest with you, I didn't actually feel that. He said, what I felt was that I belonged here. And I think that is the thing for African Americans when they go. It's the sense that you belong there. You don't have to move, but that feeling, the reality is most Black Americans have never felt that their whole life.
Very true.
So I think so massive opportunities in every sector. I'm obviously on the tech space, but whatever you're into, you will find a place, you will find the feeling of belonging, and you're going to want to be doing business and building this next civilization in Africa.
So what is the opportunities as far as for foreigners? Because I've heard Akon say, like, anybody that's doing business in America, you got to come to Africa and do business, and I guarantee like your business will like boom, like you'll be way more successful doing anything, whether it's doing insurance, whether it's real estate, whether it's writing, whatever, do it in Africa. He said that before. So what are the opportunities and how welcoming is it for foreigners, specifically Americans that may be in business, to come to Africa? Because obviously you don't know the dynamics of it. You got to like partner up and meet people out there.
Yeah. So 2 parts of that. I always tell people there's the what, the why, and the how. So the what is, are there opportunities? The answer is absolutely yes. But then we get into the why is easy. I want to reconnect with Africa and be part of creating the change that we want to see. The how is about who do you know? Who do you know over there that can help you to be able to navigate through? It's difficult to do business in Ghana and quite frankly on the continent when you don't know people because you don't have access and you don't know how to navigate through there. Mm-hmm. But it's the same here. I mean, if I, I've never been to New York and I'm trying to do business in New York, it's tough.
Yeah.
I know a whole lot of people, well-connected, business, finance, city hall. I'm gonna get some stuff done quickly.
Yeah.
So it's really important to connect with people. And Joe, when you mentioned about seeing the social media, if you have friends that you saw over there with social media, I guarantee you they were making relationships and friendships over there. You need to get in touch with them and say, hey, I'm interested in doing business. Who do you know over there? Now, I'll do a little bit of promotion because I want people to be connected to me as well. But then we can help to get you connected to folks that can help you based on the things that you're interested in.
Oh, your company does that?
So I work with folks. I've got partners over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got a consulting company too.
Okay.
So we help people that are interested in doing business in Africa, specifically in Ghana.
You bridge that gap.
Absolutely.
What's the name of the company?
Yeah. So my partner over there, it's Black Band.
Black Band?
Yeah. Terry Opong. He's the CEO and founder of Black Band.
What are some industries that they definitely need like right away that's opportunities for entrepreneurs?
Oh, well, you'll be happy. I think the real estate, and obviously our family is in the real estate business, but the real estate opportunities in Ghana are extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. You got a need right now for 1 million people for affordable housing.
That's a city. That's an entire city.
Yeah, yeah.
So development, real estate development.
Real estate development is huge. But I'll be honest with you, the thing is so wide that it's what are you passionate about? People are interested in fashion, the textile industry, fashion, explosive. The other area we need to really start thinking about is the cocoa industry.
Cocoa.
Ghana produces 3% of the global supply, 70% of the global supply of cocoa. But we're only participating in 3% of the supply chain benefit of that.
70%.
70%. And between Ghana and Ivory Coast, it's 90% of the entire planet's cocoa comes from those two places. But we're participating in a minuscule part of the profit because we're not processing it there
correctly.
We're just growing the cocoa.
Where they sending it
shipping it out.
There's no infrastructure to properly.
Okay.
It's like diamonds in South Africa, and then they send it to Israel to actually get cut and all of that.
Yeah. That's exactly.
It's like when we spoke about Aliko Dangote when he changed his country's export to import policy, right? Like they were putting out so much oil, he built the infrastructure, so now they're able to export it to countries and make money. It completely changes the income for the entire country.
Yeah, Nigeria is they have one of the largest oil reserves in the world, but they don't produce a lot of oil. Now they're starting to change that, but because the refineries just wasn't up to code and they couldn't actually produce it efficiently.
Well and efficiently. That's exactly right. So look, whether it's oil, whether it's solar, agriculture, real estate, tech, which is my world, our developers over there, our coders over there, there's so many incredible opportunities. So when you think about the United States, the people who really made money back in the day, building the railroads and everything else, those families and the oil families, we can be those families in Ghana right now in 2020.
And media opportunities. Are there media opportunities in Ghana?
Oh, absolutely.
You don't say.
Absolutely. Yeah, media infrastructures. And I think that's one of the things that trips people out, man, when they get to Ghana and they flip on the television. And everything, it's like everything here. Your sports center, your news, but it's us that's hosting, that's producing, that's running those stations and those networks. I think it's exciting for content creators.
No, I think content creators, and it's I see it firsthand as far as my Earn Your Leisure is because like I see it's a need for what we do in different parts of the world. Like people can't wait for us to come to Toronto, Canada. Same thing with London, England, Africa. And it's like we're highlighting entrepreneurs and we're explaining different business ventures in a way that people can understand it. And it's just like music, right? Like you might be a huge Jay-Z fan, but you're from London and he's from Brooklyn. It's a little different as far as the dialect. The things that he's rapping about is not the same, but you generally, you got a love for the music.
Yes.
And I feel like the podcast is the same thing. Like people, it might not be specific as far as the stuff that we're talking about, because a lot of this stuff is geared towards America. We're working on getting more international content, but they're encouraged by us, by our delivery. And so our goal with Earn Your Leisure is to take this all over the world and to have summits, platforms, podcast shows in different countries and highlight entrepreneurs. We're not going to do the Christopher Columbus thing and just come with people from America and shove our way of thinking on other countries. We want to actually invite people that's doing their thing in their countries and break it down. Because a lot of times business owners, they don't have a platform and the people don't have a way to get the information from those people. Yeah. So it's a disconnect.
Even here. Like there's people doing amazing things. Like you said, the woman you spoke about earlier who is the Oprah Winfrey in the tech space. That was unfamiliar to us. You know what I'm saying? There's no platform for her to be not exploited, but displayed her greatness. Yeah, you know what I mean? So like, I think it's so important that what we're doing here, and to do it internationally would be even more incredible.
Well, I'll tell you, I was really moved by what you both just said, and I'm going to make a commitment to you. One of the reasons why a lot of people want to be on your show is because you give them a platform and you give them exposure.
Yeah.
I want to be able to make a commitment to you all and to help on the international scene. I've got great friends and great relationships with entrepreneurs in Toronto, in London, and in Ghana.
Okay.
So I'm going to help you.
Breaking news alert.
Breaking news. I'm going to help you to put those events together in Toronto, in London, but in Ghana, I'm going to host you guys.
Oh, there you have it.
Oh, man.
I'm hosting you and our family. We're going to host you and bring you all out so you can experience the country the way it was supposed to be experienced.
Oh, my earners.
And we'll get you connected. But your job is to just do what you do.
Wow.
That's it. We're going to do it big in Africa.
You better believe
thought
that.
Atlanta was big.
Earners worldwide. Earners worldwide for real.
Oh, man. Nah, Kwame, I appreciate you. And like I said, it's all about relationships. And it's like we just met.
2 days
You
ago.
were actually, an advocate for the podcast before we met you, which is really dope because you're on a whole different coast. And it's all, a couple of degrees of separation. We interviewed Mike Brown, which you're invested in his company.
That's right.
And we met you at his event, and you spoke, and we kicked it off. And then shout out to Mike Brown also, because even when you spoke, we still didn't tie the dots on the podcast. And he's like, yo, y'all should have Kwame on the podcast. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mike for actually quarterbacking that situation.
And on top of that, one of your students.
Yeah.
Can you tell that story really quickly?
It's crazy. So I have a couple of mentees. I'm on the board of a university called North Central University in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And a couple of students, young couple, they're my mentees. So I was in town having dinner with them, and they had invested in Mike's company. So I'm having dinner with them, and I say, "Oh man, I'm so excited! You guys invested in Win-Win, and which one of my social media posts influenced you to make the decision?" And they call me Uncle Kwame.
Yeah.
Right? Uncle Kwame, what do you mean? I was like, "Didn't you invest because of me working with them?" You work with them? I was like, "How'd you find out about Win-Win?" And Michael. It's a couple, Michael and Grace. They just got engaged.
Congrats.
Michael brings out his phone and shows me the screenshot that a friend of his had sent him of the EYL episode. And all she said was, you need to invest in this right now.
That's
and
crazy.
Said, we watched the episode. We love those guys. And we invested. So I'm very grateful to y'all for the impact that you have.
When you told us the story, I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. No, your reach is incredible. That's probably what I was saying with Toronto, man. Literally, I had a friend of mine I was talking to, and to recommend podcasts, and she's like, the number one was EYL.
She's from Toronto?
Yeah.
Shout out to Toronto.
That was the first one. I'm familiar with those guys.
Shout
Even more so now.
Shout out to Toronto,
Amen.
man.
Thank you, guys. Bless you both.
But so how can the people contact you or information on your business, different business ventures, and any information that you want to give the public?
Sure, man. Very, very easy. First thing on the business side, get connected with me on LinkedIn. So it's just Kwame, Kwame, last name Anku, Anku. You definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the best platform for business networking, in my opinion. Instagram, we'll post this. My link will be there. And then the website is blackstar.fund. Blackstar.fund.
And what about what's the company that you connect people with in Africa?
Yeah, blackband.co. Blackband.co. Terry Apong, phenomenal business leader and entrepreneur over there on the ground making stuff happen.
I appreciate that. Troy, housekeeping items?
Man. Shout out to everybody on patreon.com. Y'all know that is our Proud to Pay program. It has grown over the months, man. We are so happy that everybody's come along the ride with us. As you know, we have switched it up a little bit, giving you more content, so be on the lookout for that. And I want to just give a quick shout out to Havana. We got Jessica and Justin, our new members, man. Y'all are tier 4, tier 5 members, so you obviously know you have access to Earn Your Leisure University. That is our online school where we have webinars 3 times a week. Real estate on Monday. We have a guest webinar every Wednesday, and Shouty and myself, we always do a business-related one on Thursdays. And EYL Espanol is out there, so be on the lookout. And thank you for supporting. Everybody's supporting the merch on earnyourleisure.com. New merch is on the way. All our earners, be sure to cop the new merch. It's specifically made for you by us. So thank you for your support.
Yeah, everybody's been asking about the tracksuits. So by the time this episode comes out, hopefully the tracksuits will be on the website. EYL University, yes. Make sure you stay in tune with that. And the book tip of this week, recommended by our guest, The One Thing. The One Thing, correct?
That's it.
Yes. So, yes, thank you guys for rocking with us. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.